Hello, good morning, students. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss about writing at work and other business writing. So this is a part of unit number two, that is writing at work and other business writing, letter writing skills. Which is practical number two. In this particular letter, we are going to discuss about business letters. If you know, in previous lectures, we have learned about prefixes and suffixes, idioms and phrases, resume writing, site visit report, and so on. Now, because of we are having a continuous lectures twice in a week on Wednesday and Saturday, so we will discuss a lot on various concerned topics, which is very essential for all of you. Today, we are going to start unit number two, that is business letter. What is business letters? Business letter, it is a letter written in formal language used when writing from one business organization to another or for correspondence between such organizations and their customers, clients, and other external parties. Business letter should be precise, concise. Businessmen businessmen are extremely short of time. They appreciate letters which inform them clearly and in the least possible words. The language and style of business letter should be formal but polite. It is advisable to avoid words which are non-standard or usage of slangs or jargons. So it is also necessary to stick the basic parameters of grammar and syntax which is needed. Engineers have a bad habit of using abbreviations. So there are certain things that you need to keep in mind while writing a business letter. Even today, these letters are very useful. It produces in a permanent record. They are confidential, formal, delivers persuasive, well considered messages. Style of letter depends on the relationship between the parties concerned. So you should understand what kind of relation you are having with the company or client. On that ground, you can use the style of writing. Is a particular format that you can see on this slide. This is the sequence one after another you will have to write while writing a business letter. First, inside address. You can write because most of the letterhead already is printed, so it's not to worry about that. Inside address you can write. Then after you have to write the phone numbers, today's date. Like that you have to move on one after another. Even just for nowadays, it is very much essential for giving information to contact, so you can even mention your personal mail also. Then after, if you move on, you will have to write the recipient name to whom we are writing a letter, company name, company address. Even you can sometime it is also printed, so that also you can avoid. But when we are writing a business letter, you should try to understand this is the basic thing you have to mention while writing a business letter. Salutation, the next process is salutation. Salutation, you should go with dear sir, because dear sir is a formal one that makes a bonding between two company people. So some student ask me, sir, can we go for respected sir? Why cannot we write respected sir? Why should we go for dear sir? So here is the answer. Dear means shows closeness with between two people. So it's a formal relationship. Even it's a formal relationship, but we need to make a proper bonding with the company's client. So dear sir is the appropriate salutation in business letters. Subject should be short. Subject should be simple. Remember all the time, so that readable. It should be readable. It should be easy to understand on what concern you are going to write the letter. So subject should be short and simple. Your first part, introductory part, main body part, or conclusion part, it should be mentioned in two or three paragraphs. If you think that if I'm writing a lot, if I'm mentioning it in a larger content, that doesn't work. So remember, if you're writing too much, that will not work for you. you have to go slowly. You have to choose certain words that is essential for making the lecture properly. Or when you are giving a such statement, it should be presentable. So when it will be presentable, when you will choose a limited amount of words and that should be present properly, so then only it will be effective. Then after, when we are giving thanks, you're sincerely, complimentary clause we can write, we are sincerely, you're thankfully, like that. Your signature should be there. Your initiatives, if you're writing some kind of, your enclosures, if you're attaching some or other documents with that, and name of the copy to whom you are sending the same kind of letter to others. One after another we are going to discuss. The first part that we have to discuss, before knowing more about business letter, I would like to give some essential characteristics of a letter. Business letter should be concise. It should omit unnecessary details, ideas or words. It should have clarity. This can be achieved by preferring the familiar to the far-fetched word. It should have create expression, means your creative expression should be easily resemble. It should be free of business or technological jargon. It is better to use active rather than passive voice. You should use active voice rather than passive voice. Your punctuation must be precise, otherwise the statement may have a different meaning than what was intended. Must advance in positive approach. This is the particular thing that you have to keep in your mind while delivering this letters. When you are going to write this letter, such point must come in your mind. Now we will move on one after another. There are certain number of points I have mentioned in this particular slide so that you should easily understand what are the business letters, how you can write effective business letter, and most importantly, because you are an engineer and suppose you are completing your BE degree very soon, inshallah you are going to finish your degree very soon, you are going to complete your degree very soon, and you will have a chance to draft such letters. At that time you should not think about, now I need to go for a Google and I need to search how to write business letter. So this is a golden opportunity for all of you to know more about business letter writing. The first thing, the letterhead, the sender address includes the company's logo, symbol, name and address, zip, telephone number, fax number, email address, and website of the company. Printed at the top center, left of the right side. This is a particular sender addressee format I have given to you. It's generally printed on the left side, top corner, or right side also. Most of the time we have to write sender address. It is usually given in the letterhead, but if there is none, the sender name, address, contact details can be typed. You can write also. It is already printed, usually given in the letterhead. When we are using our company's letterhead, that time it is already printed. But in case if it is not, then you should write the sender's name, address, contact details. This is the first step you should remember. Reference. Reference include a line to identify a file or case number, invoice number, or any other internal identifying information if your company requires one. Some companies have specific reference code that they place either in a reference line below the date or at the very bottom of the letter. Reference number क्या होता है? This is an identity code. You should remember this. This is the particular letter. For example, I have written in this particular slide ref.hmt/25/2005-114. That means this is a particular date, this is a particular code. On that day and that code this letter has written date. And there is a lot of discussion about how to write the date in business letter. There are several people who write the date in different manner. We also can write, but when we are going to learn a business letter, professional letter, we should understand what exactly accepted everywhere in the globe. I want to write my today's date is 30th of September 2020. This is my way of writing the date. The several people are writing 3030 oblique 09 oblique 2020. But a professional way, there are two different methods that are most popular. If you follow it, no one can blame that you have written a wrong dates. So date consists of the date, name of the month and the year. If the letter sheet includes a letterhead, type the date from 2 to 3 lines under the letterhead. Else type it under the return address. Never send a letter without a date. So don't forget to write the date. If you are writing a letter is a business letter and you are not mentioning the date, what will happen? Nobody will understand at what time this particular letter has been written. So you need to understand that. The date is written in two styles. The British method, ordinal numbers like 4th July 2012, or you can go for the American method, that is cardinal number, that is July 4 2012. This is the particular two methods only that you have to write when you are using business letter. When you are writing business letter, it should be written this way only, 4th July. For example, today's date is 30th September 2020. Even if you want to go for American method, you should write September 30th 2020. Never write, please don't write like this is the particular method. If you see on the slides, most in our Vidarbha region, most of the students write like that also, 7 to 12, 13 9 2020 or 20, because it shows that the writer is careless or in a great hurry. If you present like that, people will understand if you're not having information about how to write the date, or you may be careless. So you are going to give the negative impression about your personality, which is generally not accepted. The inside address. Inside address means to whom we are going to write the letter. Includes the name and address of the firm or the individual to whom the letter is written. Written on the left side beside the margin, two spaces below the date in line. You can write this. So inside address, you can write the company's any representative name, or you can write the position, or you can write the designation with the address also. Use courtesy titles before names of the receiver, such as Mr., Mrs., Shri, Srimati, Miss, Mrs., Doctor, Professor, Captain, Major, MAJ, Colonel, General, etc. You can use this abbreviation. The address can also begin with a job title or a department if you don't know the name. For example, the sales manager, the accounts department. If you don't know the name of the person, you can write the designation of the person, like principal, Anjuman College of Engineering and Technology, the director, L&T company, like that. So you can go for this also. Subject and receiver reference number. Subject is used so that the reader immediately knows what your letter is about. In a business, people are very busy. They don't have too much time to read a 2 page, 3 page lengthy letter. They are having spacious time. They don't want to get involved into to use too much time to read this particular letter. Nobody having interest. So subject should be short, subject should be simple, because the reader immediately knows what your letter is about. Generally, if I open a business letter, I go for subject. I read the subject, then I understood this letter is about this, about education, about policy, about technical issues. So I can easily understood that. The same way you should write. Subject usually comes between salutation and body. The receiver's reference, the receiver previous letter number is mentioned under the heading reference. This will enable the receiver to easily take out a copy of his own letter from his files and understand the matter in the reply. Your reference number is always mentioned in business letters because it is very easy to find, because most of the receptionist, the clerk of the company, they do the same way. Suppose they have a letter previously, they are having communication with another company, they are not going to look for every paper, they are just going to look for the reference number. With the help of reference number, with the help of the date mentioned on that letter, they can easily find out. Next one, salutation. Salutation, greeting, as we say, it is a compliment, or we can say it's a greeting also. When we greet people, at that time we shake hand. General in oral communication, we says hello, namaste, salam alaikum, and so many other things. But in writing a business letter, you should understand there are certain things. In the previous, in the earlier time also have told you about the same thing. Written beside the left hand margin, two spaces below the inside address, and two lines above the body of letter. It is followed by a comma or a colon. Salutation depends on the gender, type, number, or the social status of the person addressed. For example, dear sir, dear madam, dear Amit Das, dear Mr. John, dear Nancy, dear cell manager, dear customer, dear ladies and gentlemen, respected sir, and all this. But the most important thing that you need to keep in your mind while writing a salutation, most of the time when we are drafting a business letter, we must remember that dear sir is the most followed salutation used in entire globe. So you should also go for the same one, so that the bonding should create between two people or two company. Body, it's the main part of the letter, and you should understand what exactly we have to write in business letter. That is, every content is mentioned in the body. Body begins two spaces below the salutation. Means after salutation, you should write body. Contains the message or the information to be communicated. Most important, lengthiest, prominent part is written in correct, appealing, and impressive style. So it should be written correctly. It should be appealing, and it should be impressive style. It should be written in impressive style also. Divided normally into three parts. Every letter is written in three paragraph business letter. First one introductory, second one middle paragraph, and third one closing paragraph. In other words, we can say this: introduction, first paragraph is introduction, who's writing a letter we should know. Second is main body part, means the purpose of writing a letter that should be easily connect with the subject, that should be mentioned in the middle paragraph or main body part. And the third paragraph is closing, or we can say conclusion. In this particular paragraph, we are going to make a request, we are going to place an order for anything, we are trying to convince the client. Such other things are coming in the paragraph number 3. So your letter must be divided into three parts: introductory, middle, and closing. Double space between paragraphs. When you are writing one after another paragraph, there should be double space between paragraphs. If letter exceeds one page, repeat the recipient's name, date, reference, subject line, or put page number. If your letter is exceed more than one page, then you should repeat the recipient's name, the date, reference, the subject line, and put page number also. But generally it is not happen, because most of the time business letters conclude in one page only. Continue your letter three lines before the heading. Complementary clause. What is complementary clause? It is written two spaces below the last line of the body. It is a polite way of saying goodbye. When we are conclude our letter, we need to say goodbye, but how we can write a goodbye in this particular complimentary clause? It depends on the tone and degree of formality. In formal way, respectfully yours, sincerely yours, yours faithfully, we should use. Or informal way, because we are not going to discuss informal, but still for your knowledge and for your information, cordially yours, warm regards, best wishes. Such kind of complimentary clause we should write at the end of the letter when the time comes to say goodbye. When we are concluding our letter, that time we should use complimentary clause. The signature and designation. Written double space below the complimentary clause. First comes signature, pen written, sign your first and last name. Second line, type written name. Third line, business title. And the fourth, the signature acts as a proof. These are the sequence you have to follow. How? The first comes signature, means you will have to sign first. Sign first mean your first name and last name. In second line below that, type written name. You have to type your name particularly. For example, my name is Sajid Kazi, so I will put my signature Sajid Kazi. Below that I will write SEJID space and KZI. Third line, business title. For suppose I am having a designation of any companies as a manager, so I will write a business title. And the signature act as a proof. As I will write my name also. Enclosures. Enclosure means attachment. Generally we all students having a knowledge about attachment. When we are sending a mail to someone, at the time we use attachment, because we attach something like draft documents, anything. So here also, because you are going to attach your documents along with this particular business letter, for suppose you want a quotation or you want to place an order for any products, so you are giving a business letter, you are writing a business letter, along with that you are attaching some letters or enclosures. So this line tells the reader to look in the envelope for more. Write enclosure enc.encl.enclosure below the signature block. Enclosure 3, enclosure check 231 or other. If you don't enclose anything, skip it. It is not a compulsory part. If you are enclosing something along with the business letter, that moment you should use this. If you don't enclose anything, skip it. You can skip also. In most of the job application letter, when students write job application letter, they attach resume also. So resume attaching is a proper way to present your job application letter to the company, to the employer. So that should be attached. But it is not a mandatory when you are drafting a business letter. If you are not having anything to attach, you should not attach anything. You can skip it. Reference initials. If someone else has composed type the letter for you, it is common for them to indicate so with initials. Typically it is your initials in uppercase followed by the other initials in lowercase. Composer type is, if reference is there, then you can use, otherwise you can ignore this. Copy notation is, it is very essential content that you should remember, because you are learning business letters. Copy notation means to whom you are sending this particular letter, apart from the person mentioned in the inside address. Means you are sending this letter to one person, but you want to send the same copy of this letter to respective other people of the firm or company or organization. So you can make CC copy, carbon copy we can say. When other people are to receive a copy of the same letter, their names are noted either by their ranks or by alphabetically. Written just below the reference initials or the enclosures, whichever is last. Type CC before the names if sending a carbon copy or a PC for photocopy to CC. For example, I had written the name of two people. This is particular carbon copy for two persons, the same note. Layouts. Now we are going to discuss about the layouts. What are the layouts and how we can use this layout while writing a business letter? The most popular, mostly used in the world, that is block letter. Each line of every part begins at the left margin. In a block letter type or layout, you should remember each line of every part begins at the left margin. So you cannot start from the right, you cannot start from the middle, but you must start from the left side. At least one line space between each part. There should be a one line space between each part. Time saving method and beautiful to look at, also known as American style. This is very time saving method and it is also known as American style. Indent letter or indent letter. What is about? New paragraphs begin about 1.5 centimeters to the right of the left margin. This style is also known as the hanging style. This method consumes a lot of time, looks shabby, therefore out of practice. Indent letter is used some 20 years back, but nowadays it is outdated, so you should not give too much attention for this. Third is semi block or modified block. Some parts are typed in a block method and other parts are intended return address, date, closing and signature start just to the right of the center of the page or maybe flush with the right margin. Mostly wide followed method in our country, especially in government offices. So if you see any government letter, most of the time it is used semi block or modified. It start from the left side, but the return address, date, closing, signature start just to the right of the center of the page or maybe flush with the right margin. If you see any government letter, you will be getting this information. It is a semi block or modified block letter format or layout. So this we are having example in government letters. Mostly we can see in government letters or government drafts also. But being a technical student or engineer, you must know block layout is the one of the most popular or most widest used of layout, which is very popular also. So you should learn this thing only. One more time, I would like to give you some additional information about this, that block layout, each line of every part begins at the left margin. Whatever letters I will give you, that as assignment you will have to write in your book. You will have to show me that letter must start from the left margin, at least one line space between each part. You have to leave the one particular line space between each part, and you should go for this because it's a time saving method. It looks good and it is very popularly known in America also. It's American style. This is the particular letter types. This is a block style. You can see it is started from the left side and it is concluded with the left side only. Modified, see the center address is written in the right side. Here on the left side, inside address and left of the contents are written, and again the conclusion part also written in the right side. An intended style which is completely different and that is not in use nowadays, so we should not go for this. Now we are going to discuss about the types of business letter. There are several types of business letter that this question particular asked in sixth semester also. What are the types of business letters, and explain one of them. For being civil engineer, you should also know some of the letters that may be used in your future, and that is inquiry, order, refusal, acceptance, quotation, follow up, cancellation, compliance, complaints, claims, adjustments, settlement, collection, agencies, and sales letter. So you should know there are the different types of business letter are exist. One of the particular letter you need to write in examination, but you should know, you should have a complete knowledge about how to write business letters. This is a good newsletters that mention opening, mention the best news for summarize an idea. So this is for another purpose that you should not go for this. We will move on. I would like to suggest 7 C's of communication when you are going to learn or when you are learning about how to write correct business letter. If you follow these 7 C's, definitely you will be perfect in later writing skill. The first foremost thing that you need to keep in your mind, that is completeness. Letter should not lacks its purpose, provide all necessary information. Example, orders should not only mention quantity but also size, price, packaging, delivery, transportation charges, discount rates, payment item and condition, etc. What is mean? You have to you have to understand complete length means letter should not lack its purpose. Means the purpose you are writing a letter, it should be clearly mentioned. Every information, the purpose behind writing a letter should mention in this particular letter. You cannot write half of the letter, or you are providing only half information, so reader will be confused. He won't understand what exactly you want to say to him. So for example, suppose you are placing an order, you should mention the quantity, but quality also, but size also, the price of the particular thing, packaging process, delivery, transportation charges, discount rates, payment items and condition, etc. So each and everything which is supposed to connect with the letter should be mentioned in the letter. Second point, conciseness. Be to the point, avoid unnecessary repetitions and include only relevant material. You should understand that your letter should not be add with unnecessary repetition. Suppose you are writing one point which is already used in a main body, you are using in the conclusion part, you are already used in the introductory part also. You should not repeat the same word again and again. It should be to the point only. We are not going to give any film story, or we are not going to give wide description about our company history. We need to write only about the later subject, is based on subject of the later. You are not going to write anything which is unnecessary, unwanted. So that means letter should be concise. Third one, consideration. Focus on you instead on I. Or B, show reader benefits and emphasize positive pleasant facts. Consideration is very use techniques to convince the client. You should not focus on you, means you have to focus on the company to whom you are writing a letter instead of I. You should not give wide description about I, my company, our company. No, you should mention about your company. You should show the benefit of your company. You should emphasize the positive pleasant facts of the company, so that reader should convince with your letter, and easily he should accept your request. Getting? Next one, concreteness. Use specific facts and figures, put action in verbs and choose image building words. Concreteness. Suppose you are writing a letter and you are mentioning not necessary content in the letter, so a reader will be confused. He is not going to accept he will find that you are a fake person. So use specific facts and figures. When we are giving a description about anything, we should use facts and figures, then only people will convinced. Next, clarity. Choose precise, concrete and familiar words. Construct effective sentences and paragraphs. Readers should understand the matter in first reading. Your letter should be very clear. As I told you in the beginning of this lecture, your letter should be clear. Reader should not be confused. He should easily understand what exactly you want to say. Your your word should be familiar with the reader. You should not use, suppose you are having a great vocabulary, that doesn't work. If you're having a great vocabulary, but that word meaning should understand by the reader should understand the matter of in first reading. If instead of you want to make an impression on the company's employee, you are putting a difficult hard word which is generally not used in general way of writing, so it will be difficult for him to understand. So go with the normal formal words. Courtesy. Courtesy, whether writing a complaint or a concern, be sincere, thoughtful, appreciative, cautious, and respectful. Offer to do whatever you can within reason to be accommodating and helpful. When you are writing a business letter, your courtesy must present your personality, and it is present your personality. So you should be respectful, you should be appreciative, you should be thoughtful, you should be sincere, and you should be very concerned about the company to whom you are writing. So the bond should starting up creating a positive atmosphere for you. Correctness, the last, the right level of language. Double check the facts, figures, date, price, spelling, and grammar. Maintain acceptable writing mechanics. Use right level of language. Your language should not be hard, should not be difficult to understand. You should double check the facts, figures, date, price, spelling, and grammar before it finalizing, and maintain acceptable writing mechanics before make it finalized. How to start? Most of the students ask me, sir, we don't know how to start later because we don't get the words. When you are starting a letter, you can write we are or I am writing to inform you that, to confirm, to request, to inquire about. You in this is also a way to start your letter. Referring to previous contact. If you want to refer a previous contact, you want to remind him that already you have communication with this company, so you can give like this: thank you for your letter on March 15, because on March 15 already we had communication. So such a way also you can show, thank you for contacting us, thank you for your letter regarding with reference to your telephone conversation yesterday. It was a pleasure meeting you in London last month. So that means you are reminding them or reminding him about the previous meeting, about the previous communication, or about the previous contact. So what will happen, that person will easily understood, yes, we had communication with this company earlier last month or yesterday also. Making a request. When we are making a request, we can use such words: we would appreciate it if you would. In addition, I would like to receive. It would be helpful if you could send us. I am interested in obtaining and receiving. Please let me know what action you propose to take. This is also a way of writing or making a request. When you are offering help, that time also you should remember, would you like us to? We would be happy to. We are quite willing to. Our company would be pleased to. This is the way when we are offering a help. When we are giving good news, when we are going to share good news with other people, we can start like this: we are pleased to announce that I am delighted and inform you that you will be pleased to learn that. This is also a way to write the or give giving good news to the clients or company people. When we are giving, when we feel regret or when we're giving a bad news, we can start, we can say, we can speak this way: we regret to inform you that I am afraid it would be not possible to. After careful consideration, we have decided not to. This is also a way to write a bad news or giving a negative news about this. Now student, do one thing I saw, because it has been teaching this particular subject in first semester, and they used to write about the complaint later also. So complaining also one way that we can express our thought to other company with a proper way. So you should not write otherwise I will see you in the court, I will take the necessary action against you. You should avoid this. Even we are writing a business letter, even when writing a complaining letter, our language level should not get down. It should be high only all the time. So how we can write complaining? I am writing to express my dissatisfaction with, when you are not satisfied with the particular mobile phone which you already call for your company, and you are not happy with the company's products, so you can write this way: I am writing to express my dissatisfaction with. Please note that the goods we order on date have not yet arrived. We regret to inform you that our order and is now considerably overdue. I would like to query the transport charges which seem unusually high. Tips. There are certain tips you please keep in mind, because I know that this is a lengthiest one for you for to understand about this, but still some matter you have to keep in your mind. So the contents that you are going to use while writing a business letter, these tips will be useful for you. First one, maintain proper margins. When you write a business letter, your margin should be properly maintained. Use the right font size, style, and color. Most of the time, we go for a Times New Roman. We choose a size of font is generally 12, and color is black only because it is printed on the white page. Strike the right tone. Be brief and professional. Don't be too blunt or flattery. Don't write flattery words. Don't write blunt. Don't be blunt actually, because it show your arrogance. So your language tone should be professional, because we are not going to make any relation with that company. We want to make a professional relation. On that ground, we have to use a polite language. Use a quality pen to sign the letter and thoroughly read before you send it. Quality pen to sign, which means your signature should be easily visible for reader. Neatly fold the letter into thirds and post it in a clean envelope with the company logo. You can keep your particular letter, you should fold it properly with the company logo. If you're having envelope, you can add that also. It should be neatly print. Write your return address and the recipient address on the envelope. Not only the inside address, but the person to whom you are writing a letter, that also to mention, that is an essential part. But your name and address, recipient's address and envelope also mention. If you are writing a company, giving a company logo also, that is helpful for you. You can avoid that also, but recipient's address should be written properly. Thank you so much. We all have learned a lot about business letters. These are the different types of letters that we have learned. I am going to give you some questions regarding four letters, which is very useful for you. That is inquiry, order, complaint, job application. This four letter you will have to write in your notebook, that I'm going to correct you whenever college will reopen. This is assignment also, because in this ground you are having assignment. So you please try to understand the format of writing business letter, and the question which I'm going to share you on WhatsApp, that you will have to write in your book, and with the help of this PPT or this particular lecture, you should solve properly. And uh, very soon we are, because today is Wednesday, we are having lecture on Saturday also. So one more time I'm going to discuss about this, that whether the particular students have written or not, that if it is feasible, we will meet very soon. So every Wednesday 12 to 1, and every Saturday 12 to 1, I'm going to post this lecture. You do one thing, you should mention your name and roll number in the comment box. So what will happen, I can get your attendance easily. Thank you so much for listening me. Thank you.